Welcome to January 27th. Good day, everyone. We're going to talk about Santa Clarita real estate prior to getting into the 469 listings, talking about the differences between the residential market currently and what types of properties for sale. I'll clear that up. But first off, I wanted to explain a couple different things about my method and where I come from, because a lot of people are in the real estate industry because it's a side job, side hustle, something extra. And of course, I know if you've ever been around real estate agents, you're probably thinking, wow, how arrogant, how pompous, and how amazing. But on the other side of it, there are some of us that don't like to ascribe to that school and really look at it from where we came from. Where I came from, I was LAPD for a very long time. I'm honorably retired. That doesn't mean I pensioned off because of medical reasons, and that does not mean that I'm getting a pension at this time, or I will get one at all. But this basically means that I've retired, and honorably means that I get the benefits as far as being able to have an ID and that sort of thing with nothing else. So I did a full term, but without the pension. So that's how I did my career with the Los Angeles Police Department. And in that entire time, it did teach me a lot of different things, but even going into it, I know I started as a young man and it seemed like I was always that guy protecting people. I was always the ones trying to confront the bullies. And unfortunately, I wasn't very good at it back then. And of course, I got my clock cleaned quite often. But at least I stood up for the people that apparently weren't able or did not desire to stand up for themselves. And that started very early in elementary school and then carried on through high school. And then, of course, back in 1990, finally, I achieved my dream, coming from a small town in New Mexico out to California to be a cop. And it was LAPD, and it was a big deal, and it was amazing, and the best time of my life, bar none. But with that, the motto on the door, you might have seen it, to protect and to serve. It's a big deal. It means a lot to me, and I carry that with me in every part of my life. So when I have people coming to me wanting to buy or sell real estate, it is from that angle. It is from that position where I want to protect and to serve. And the protection module really pops in because the first house I bought back in 1996, I got totally taken by the agent and could have been taken even worse, but because I didn't know anything about the process or real estate. So that was my catalyst even getting into real estate in the first place. And then I saw how many other people were being taken. So I thought maybe this would be a good career for me to be able to also offer protecting and serving. I finished out my LAPD career and then, of course, became this full time. I do my best to be able to publish daily information, insights into the real estate market to best show buyers and sellers what's happening. And in addition, to give you the best information and data, because online I've also noticed that a lot of people, the price of admission to posting things online is very inexpensive. On social media, they do videos like this. And in fact, I've been watching a lot. They've been implementing AI. So they're not even themselves speaking on the camera. It looks like them, but if you watch those little glitches, you'll still be able to see it, maybe only for a couple more months until it'll be perfected. But at least going in, you might know that this might not be exactly who they are as they're presenting themselves on video. Furthermore, whenever you're watching the real estate channels online, you want to find somebody that's supportive in nature, also publishes real estate data, talking about the market, what to watch out for, changes and trends. And the other things, as far as market statistics go, the data that they publish should be backed up by a verifiable source like the multiple listing service. So when you see the information as it's published online, the source data should also be provided in some way, or at least given access to it like I do at my website at santaclaritaopenhouses.com. Now, 3 different types of main properties are for sale in Santa Clarita Valley. And remember earlier I talked about that 469 number. Those are all the active residential listings. 14 of those are coming soon. So they're not on the market yet. And they span the gamut between, let's see, what's the least expensive? Least in coming soon realm is $550,000. And in the coming soon realm, the highest they go is $1,187,000. So you can see there's a massive price range, and it's going to run from Castaic through all of the Santa Clarita Valley cities to Valencia. So everything out here, Castaic, Canyon Country, Newhall, Saugus, Stevenson Ranch, and Valencia. So it's everything. In those properties, there's going to be single-family residences, condominiums, townhomes. Just to bring you up to speed, there are two different types of single-family residences, attached and detached. So the attached properties of a single-family residence are going to look very traditionally, like you have your front yard, you have a committed backyard, but your property is adjoined to your neighbor's property in some way, shape, or form. And in other single-family residences, the properties are separated, but usually share a common wall. So you got this brick wall or some kind of a wall or some kind of a fence that's basically your and your neighbor's obligation, and you have half ownership in it. In an attached single-family residence, you're sharing a wall. So the importance of that is this. You're going to be able to hear things being transmitted through the wall by whatever activity, whatever insulation's in place. You'll be able to hear the activity from the neighbor. And maybe that's not a big deal, but it is something to consider. In addition, let's say something breaks or some kind of a flood occurs in the neighbor's house. That could become your problem. So whenever we talk about attached single-family residences, the insurance information is very important. Insurance information meaning something called a clue report. And most insurance brokers can pull this, and basically it's going to show any past claims in the attached property. And that's important to know, especially going in. You're also going to run your insurance recon, but part of your discovery process and those investigations that you do with your inspections, it would be good to know that so your inspector can dig a little deeper just to make sure there's nothing growing in the wall that might have been subject to the property flood next door. And even if there was no intrusion into your property, it's also important to find out so they can also identify other things. Electrical stuff rots and starts to rust, and there's certain kind of bad formations that occur because of excessive water being standing, even for just a little bit of time. So knowing that going in would be really great service for you. So that's something to consider. So you have the detached single-family residence, and a single-family residence is usually just a house set apart, you know, several walls, of course, stucco finished out here. And again, you have your own front yard, backyard, two side yards, not very big, or two side areas or walkways, then your front yard, and then of course your neighbor. One of the things in the single family world to also watch out for those properties behind you. In some places in Santa Clarita, you're going to have a large lot, then you're going to have a hillside, and then you're going to have other properties maybe higher or lower than yours. Not a bad idea to make sure that you find out who those people are. Go door knock the properties, especially if you believe that in the future they could have some negative impact property. Example, really big trees. Let's say they have these big, beautiful canopy type trees and you love them and they're great. Even the side neighbors, maybe they have those as well. There's root systems in these trees, and these root systems can actually go under the fence into your property. Maybe they already have, and they can cause damage. So knowing your neighbors going in is probably important. Then finally, we have the other types of properties. We have single-family residences that are going to be recorded with the city as detached condominiums. You'll see these in different areas in Valencia because the lot sizes are really small. Houses are really close together. And in fact, in some of these, in that classification, you're going to be having the neighbor's wall. It's not going to be attached to your residence, but one of the walls of the neighbor's residence is going to be part of your backyard. So it'll be like a boundary, if you will. So the neighbor's house is here, your house might be here, but then in your backyard, as you're out there playing or barbecuing, their wall is part of your backyard. That's usually classified as a detached condominium. Anything to worry about? Probably not. Because what ends up happening is when the appraisers come out and look at the property, they do carry a little bit less value than maybe a sole and separate single family, but they're right up there. And in a hot market, you probably won't even be able to tell the difference in price per square foot between a detached condominium and an actual single family residence. But it's going to depend on time of year, appraisal, and a few other factors. But that's another different property type that you're going to run into. Condominiums, those properties are like apartments, right? You're basically a rectangular box, and on all sides could be neighbors. Above you could be neighbors, and below you could be neighbors. Parking usually is either maybe a carport, it could be a shared garage, it could be a shared tandem garage. That's fun. And then also the parking might not be close to the property. You might have to walk a little bit or come downstairs or upstairs to be able to get to it in a condominium type configuration. The important thing with that is, of course, make sure you know your neighbors, the ones that are going to be scurrying up and back above you, below you, and then of course sides. And then your townhouses, what are those? Usually 2-level condo type properties, but they're going to be multi-level typically. You're going to have an entry point in a lot of cases in Santa Clarita, like a little area that you can maybe leave your keys on a table, have a mirror to check yourself before you finally check out for the day or leave. And then up the stairs is going to be the living area. You'll usually have the kitchen, the living area, and your bedrooms, couple bathrooms, and so on. So that's usually how a townhouse is configured. Some of the better ones, or the ones that carry higher values, are going to be the ones that give you direct access to your garage. So they'll be attached, and that door and that little foyer area downstairs, there's going to be access into the garage there. Now there's other units like that are townhomes that you might have to walk out onto a sidewalk out your front door to get to another access door to get into your garage. And then finally, there's others that the garage really isn't close and you're going to be walking a little bit to get to your garage, but the house itself is townhome in configuration, multi-story. So these are the different types of properties that are for sale in the Santa Clarita Valley. When you're buying any one of them, you want to make sure you have a home inspector come out and vet the property and look at it. And while they might not vet it, I guess that's probably the incorrect word to use, give you all the information they can find about it. Some of the best home inspectors actually go to the city and pull up any recall notices for furnaces, and also look at things that might have been changed in the subject property that you're buying, seeing if they were properly recorded with the city. That's at least good information to know. While it might not impact the loan, it is good to know if in fact that homeowner did the due diligence of going and actually recording what he should have recorded, or they should have recorded with the city whenever they did any additions, modified the property, put in some kind of a pool or hot water heater, these sorts of things. It's good to see at least the diligence of the seller if they've done that. Now, don't fret if you run into a property that happens to be being sold and there was some kind of a replacement, and the seller's telling you that there was a replacement or modification, and that replacement or modification needed to be recorded with the city. It's probably not going to really tamper into the value of your property, but it could be something that you might want to pay attention to in case it can be enforced upon you at a later date. These are good questions to ask your agent. It's going to depend on the location and so on, but it's definitely something to talk about and to be made aware of. That's Santa Clarita Real Estate. That's for today, and the show, of course, has a lot of other components that's going to explain kind of my process, where I came from, didn't think I talked about where I'm going, and where you might want to be when it comes to real estate. I do appreciate you watching. I'm Connor with Honor, over and out.